No, I wasn't going to do a live stream today, but I thought, you've got to keep it up. And the reason I wasn't going to do it is I am just so tired. Where I live, I actually live in a high street in a beautiful town, in what I call Middle Earth. But last night, from 12 p.m. until 4 a.m. this morning, there was an alarm going off in one of the shops in the road, and it was just constantly going. It was going on for about 45 minutes, stopping for 10 minutes, and then going on for 45 minutes again. So I didn't sleep a wink last night, and I felt so tired. I've actually even put on a sweatshirt because I feel cold. But I thought, no, you committed to doing these videos on a regular basis, so you've got to do one even if you don't feel up to it, because that's what you're about. You're about motivating people, being positive, and keeping that energy up. So I'm here regardless. I'm stepping up to the plate and I'm doing it. Now I wanted to talk today a little bit about one of my pet peeves. Really, it does frustrate me a little bit when I'm coaching people, when I speak to people, or I see people's posts and they talk about not having enough time in their day, not having enough time in their day to exercise, not having enough time in their day to eat properly, basically not having enough time in their day. And yet, time doesn't really exist. When you look at it in the real world, time doesn't exist in nature. Time is a man-made concept. Nature doesn't know about time. The river that erodes those pebbles, that makes those pebbles nice and smooth, doesn't know about time. It just flows. Those rocks that get weathered with age don't know about time. It's just one day after the sun comes up, the sun goes down. Man created time to actually to actually create time, so he could actually measure out his day. We created the 24-hour day. We created 60 minutes in an hour, 60 seconds in a minute, so we could actually have some kind of structure to our day. So time doesn't really exist, and yet we're actually trying to fit our lives, we're trying to fit our mindsets in the parameters of this cage that we've created, this time concept of there's only so much time in a day. But it's not. Time is what you make it. And people who tell me they haven't got time to exercise because they're too busy at work, it drives me insane. When I worked in advertising and I was an MD of 3 companies within a very large advertising agency, I had 73 employees. On many days, I was working from 6:30 in the morning until 2 or 3 in the morning, and sometimes not even going home. And that was the length of my day in those days. But I still found time. I made time to go to the gym every single day, because I found out many, many years ago that exercise was like my nirvana. It was like the altar I went to worship, because I didn't feel pressure in those days. I don't even feel pressure now, to be honest with you, or stress, because I discovered exercise at an early age. And nowadays, when everybody and their aunt and uncle seems to be exercising and finding time to go and exercise, I was doing it 30 years ago before it kind of became vogue. So I felt as though I was ahead of the curve. I'm still ahead of the curve, and I loved exercising then, and I love exercising now. And I learned so much about myself through exercise. My mental barriers, my mental limits were smashed through, because the physical limits I was putting on myself, they weren't physical, they were all in my mind. And once I realized that, breaking that 50 press up barrier, or that 150 press up barrier, or having to do 200 press ups for my black belt grading, I didn't think I could do it. And then all of a sudden I smashed through 50 press ups, then 75, then 95, then 100, then 150. And then having to get to 200 seemed insurmountable. But I knew it was all up here. It was nothing to do with, it was a little bit to do with physical strength, obviously, because you've got to build up your endurance, you've got to build up your strength. But it was more about what I thought I could do. And the more barriers I was smashing in the gym, the more barriers I was smashing in the dojo, the more barriers I was actually smashing in my business life. And that's why my business grew, because it took away my stress. It took away my pressure. It energized me. It motivated me. It gave me goals outside of work. And it was just the best thing I ever discovered. At 14 years of age, I bought my very first piece of exercise equipment. And people old enough to remember, yes, I'm that old, it was a bull worker. Remember the aluminium tube with the bands on there? And at 14 years of age, I was pushing my bull worker into the ground to build those abs, pulling it out to build my back, so long ago. And I also bought a Charles Atlas dynamic tension course. And that was brilliant. That's how long I've been exercising. I love exercise. So when people tell me they've got no time to exercise, it's mad. What they're saying is they've got no time for themselves, because they don't care enough about themselves to actually take care of themselves. Everybody can find 5 minutes to exercise. I don't care. You can find 5 minutes to go and buy yourself a cup of coffee. So you can find 5 minutes to actually go and exercise. And it doesn't have to mean the gym. You can run up and down the stairs 3 or 4 times, get that heart beating, get the blood flowing around your system. And even doing that 3 or 4 times a day, you're still going to actually burn calories and actually lose weight and feel better about yourself. Raising those endorphins. So do not give me those excuses about haven't got time. You have got time. You just got to find the priority in your day to give yourself the time. That's the secret to it. There's no secret to not having time. The secret is finding the time, prioritizing yourself, and prioritizing that 5 minutes, that 10 minutes, that 15 minutes, or even that 30 minutes for you and your well-being. It can't be sacrificed. You've got to do it. It's for the greater good of you.